Is it worth?
So Google has released Veo 3, an AI video generator that is very much marking the beginning of the 3.0 era for this technology. Along with that, they have opened up the door to Flow, a really impressive platform bringing together the modalities of image, audio, and video. But that is all coming with a pretty hefty price tag, namely around $250 a month. So is it worth it? Well, as with a lot of these big releases, I ponied up the cash to go find out. So today we're going to take a look at what it's good at, what it's lacking, and ultimately let you know should you get into the flow. Okay, let's kick it over to AI Tim for the intro.
Hey, thanks, Tim. Let's hop in and see what Google has cooked up.
Kicking off, the big news here is that Veo 3 can now talk. So I decided to give that a go with some man on the street interviews talking about AI video.
I'm out here interviewing people about AI video technology.
The potential for AI video generation is just incredible.
I mean, it's still pretty
nervous.
scary.
AI generated video?
Well, I suppose that it's something to get used to.
Honestly, I can't imagine fighting that kind of person with that kind of crazy stare. Like I've seen those interviews, like people were taking interviews from these people, and people, like, for some reason, because they're shocked, they're scared, like they don't know, like in their initial reaction, they just like really have the eyes open. So that's pretty believable.
It's gonna empower artists, but it's also kind of a slippery slope.
I don't think AI can ever truly capture the depth and nuance of human emotion.
I think it's going to be a very interesting time.
I mean, I think
video-
that statement is pretty much wrong right now.
Can ever truly capture the depth and
Like,
nuance of
it
human
looks
emotion.
pretty real.
I think it's going to be a very interesting time with video. I don't know what it will bring, but it's very exciting.
I do have some pretty interesting insights into that particular output. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But for now, let's keep the train rolling with this 90s sitcom-inspired output.
So this is an AI video about nothing?
It's about nothing. Who would watch a video about nothing?
I really do have to give it up to Veo 3 for capturing like the 90s-ness of it all. It does look like a 90s HD remaster, but
It does.
in the 4:3 aspect ratio, all of the set decoration, the fact that, you know, our girl with the purple top there is really channeling an inner George. Now, obviously, the Veo 3 auto-generated subtitles down there are a bit of a mess. I do have a solution to that coming up. Running through a couple of quick community outputs before we roll up our sleeves, UTN Chung gives us quite the tongue twister.
Betty bought butter, but the butter's bitter, so Betty bought better butter to make the bitter butter better.
Okay, that was
snippet
creepy.
from the Minecraft streamer.
Oh my God, we got it! We actually got the diamonds, we actually did it.
I mean, are we still pretending that there isn't YouTube data in here? And finally, rolling out, well, it's my favorite We Can Talk example.
We can talk.
No more silence.
Yes, we can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk with accents.
Oh, I think that would be marvelous.
Yes, it is very fun. But
Yes, it is very good.
It's very fun.
So all of that is, of course, super impressive. Now, one question you might have is, you know, beyond the obvious sound and dialogue, how much of a difference is there between Veo 2 and Veo 3? Well, to answer that, here's a quick 15-second sci-fi dystopia, very typical AI video demo that I cribbed together. First, in Veo 2,
Okay. Actually, it looks like a CGI, like
and now
for
those
a
exact
trailer
same
for the
shots
video
in
game.
Veo 3.
Okay. It's slightly better.
As a note, all of those shots were generated with image to video, which is a whole thing we're going to talk about in a little bit, with the exception of this shot. So this shot is actually text to video. In all honesty, I find both of them pretty serviceable. Where I think you do see noticeable differences is in, say, the opening shot. There's considerable less artifacting happening on the Veo 3 side. So ultimately, while I do see a bit of a quality boost, the gulf really isn't that massive. Now, the spot where I think that VO3 really shines is, well, much like VO2, actually in text to video. And look, while I know that this is not everyone's favorite way of working, we do tend to be control freaks that like to micromanage every element of the frame. But I got to say that even with VO2, I tended to get much better results with like highly detailed text to video prompts. For example, let's take a look at this kind of like Goodfellas Sopranos inspired shot. So our initial image output begins here with, well, not Tony Soprano talking to not young Ray Liotta. And then the video output is this, which is, I mean, it's not too bad. It definitely has that, you know, kind of like Scorsese camera movement vibe going on. However, when we run the exact same prompt with text to video, this is what we get.
I think it's time we take care of this situation.
Oh, shoot.
You mean?
Oh, shoot.
Setting aside the most obvious difference, yet you only get
the lighting, the
text
change
to video. It does not happen in
the
image
quality.
to video.
Like
overall, there is a much more cinematic and natural.
It's way more cinematic and natural. That looks like a
video
movie on the
output
on the right
image
side.
Image to video one. Additionally, I do have to point out that I'm pretty sure that Sal is an FBI informant, and when they take him out, it's just going to lead to a lot of trouble. Rolling back to that earlier issue we had with subtitles, here is a Game of Thrones inspired shot where we ended up getting them.
My queen, we have translated the scrolls. We have the magic to fix the ending.
It's possible that the use of quotation marks is what ends up triggering that. For example, here is the prompt that we used. You can see, you know, we have quotation marks here. I mean, I didn't write them. ChatGPT wrote them. But, you know, that could be what ends up triggering those, you know, faux subtitles. Testing that out, we'll go check in with our old pal, the man in the blue business suit, and finally let him talk.
After thousands of images and videos, I can finally talk. And I'm at a loss for words.
I gotta say, not exactly.
For some reason, they don't blink. I don't know why the blinking is the problem.
How I expected him to sound. But as we can see here in the prompt that I wrote, much shorter, obviously, there is no quotation marks. I just simply used a colon here and then wrote the dialogue out. Yeah, seemed to work. The other really interesting discovery that I ran across was that you can actually just give them a topic. You don't have to prompt any dialogue whatsoever. For example, in this output, which was an outtake from our Man on the Street interviews, the prompt here is just a person on the street interview where the person is talking about AI video and how they feel about it.
I think there's a lot of potential in AI video, not just for entertainment, but for education as well.
You can also prompt for it to write music, as we see here.
Oh, Tim, your videos, they shine so bright and...
Hey, thanks AI folk singer, that means a lot. But did you remember to hit the like and subscribe button? Now, given all of that, is it perfect? Well, no, of course it is not. There's some very cool stuff, but you know, you still get the jank. For example, fight sequences. Now, I don't.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but
we can all see what's going wrong here. But I mean, I do want to point out that there's a lot going right here as well. The two characters are not fusing together. No one is flying away. No one is exploding. The other thing that I find endlessly entertaining is the fact that if you don't provide like any kind of dialogue detail, VO3 will just start to make some up. This is a fight sequence that is a total mess, but made funnier because of the dialogue.
Here I come, you punk.
Wait, what?
I mean, whose side is this guy on anyway? He's like punching her in the back of the head. He says like, here I come, you punk. And then by the end of it, he's fighting the other guy. Does he even know which side he's on? One last fight sequence with improvised dialogue inspired by a film that, well, we don't talk about.
You're going down.
Damn. Okay. I mean...
Not today.
Like,
oh my
I
god!
have to say there is a bit of like Rock'em Sock'em Robots going on with.
I think when it comes down to like very fast action, it's still not great. Like a slow action, just some small gestures, yes, but the exchange, fights, and reaction to it is like
of the punches. But I mean, overall, that's a pretty good output. I definitely have to say that this new era of unprompted AI generated sound is bringing me so much joy. It's like the return of all the surrealness of like 1.0 era AI video. For example, rewriting a prompt of the, you know, behind the scenes of my AI short film, The Bridge, we ended up with this.
I'd like you to show me that you're listening.
that lady is super mean. B, I love the look on our character's face there as she's like contemplating, like, how does one show someone else they're listening? And rewriting it again, we end up with this assistant director that has like camera shutters for her hands. She definitely needs to see a doctor about that. Sliding over to fan films and IP, someone in the comments asked, if we could still do that. In VO2, you could definitely get away with a pretty wide margin. I definitely saw a lot of like Mario and, well, The Mandalorian. So taking that out for a spin, that basically says The Mandalorian without ever saying the name The Mandalorian, we ended up with this.
It looks like a video game. Like a trailer from
it does
2015.
very much come off as like The Mandalorian crossed with like a Sergio Leone Man with No Name, which is actually, to me, that's cooler. Another output here of tell me you're Batman without saying you're Batman. Admittedly, there are some janky physics going on here, but there's a lot to like in this output. And finally, giving all of the prompt indicators pointing to a John Wick output, VO3's like, nah, not gonna do that.
I need a room, preferably on the top floor.
Certainly, sir.
Two things about that. One, our guy is definitely a sniper. Two, VO2 has no understanding of what a hassle it is to check into a hotel room. Finally, in terms of, well, I guess kind of famous faces, I was able to get off this Edgar Allan Poe in his study writing the Raven output. Not a lot to write home about on this one, other than the fact that he's got like the full like black eyeliner goth thing going on, but it's Edgar Allan Poe. I'm gonna let that slide. But I do have to point out that I got pushback on Abraham Lincoln in the theater with the dialogue line, "I'm dying to get a burger after the show." What, too soon? Okay, let's move over to some downsides. Currently, a lot of what was introduced at Google I/O is not present in VO3. For example, in painting, not there yet. We do not have external image generation. You can only generate, with images created in, I guess, like ImageN 4. References, which is kind of that whisk feature for video, that's only available in the turbo mode. So, basically the lowest quality one. No outpainting yet, and if you try to use any of the camera control presets, it basically kicks you back down to VO2. So basically, we're sort of waiting on everything but the voices right now. In fact, even the video extension isn't working yet. You can do it, it's just, it kicks you down to the fast mode. For example, and this is a bit of a janky output, this is seen from a 1980s horror movie where the woman is running away from a killer who wears a hockey mask and has chainsaws for hands. Yeah, a bit of a mess there. I do love the fact that like our killer guy is just like,
he lost.
I dropped the chainsaw and I think I got some corn stalks stuck in my eyeballs and now
what should I do now?
So to create an extension here, we move into the storyboard function where obviously we have our clip here. If I hit the plus button and go extend, I can give it another prompt. So in this case, I'm going to give it the woman and the man with the chainsaw, hug and start laughing. The tone of the video changes to a romantic comedy. Now, to its credit, it does give us what we asked for. Indeed, they do start hugging. I'm not sure if they're like laughing, but we can't see underneath that guy's hockey mask. But to note, yeah, it is now in the fast mode. Additionally, these are two separate clips. So, you're going to have to manually put them together. On top of that, the first frame of our extension and the last frame of our original output, they aren't the same frames. Now, the frame does look like it's here in the original output. You just got to kind of scroll back for it and find it. So yeah, it's just going to take some, manual effort on your part. You would think that, this would be automated. So all of that said, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or elephants in the room. Currently, access to the Flow platform to use VO3 there is going to run $250 a month. Now, it does have an intro price of $124 for the next 3 months. I honestly believe that's because even they know it's a little underbaked. For that subscription cost, you end up with 12,500 credits with each VO3 output costing you 150 credits, so you get up to 83 video generations. Now, in all fairness, I do have to say that VO3's hit rate is a lot higher than a lot of other AI video generators. The biggest tip that I can pass along to you is just to make sure that you come down into settings here. If you are using VO3, you know, the highest quality one, just set your outputs to 1. Do not waste your credits running, up to 4 generations, because, you know, that'll cost you.
Oh,
And
I
look,
see.
I
I
do
see.
continue to be impressed with, you know, the text to video output, but without a much higher rate limit and the fact that, most of the marquee features aren't available yet, I mean, I really can't recommend it to most people for that price. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, and God knows that I've, blown more money on dumber things. And you do get a lot of other stuff thrown in. For example, you do get early access to Project Mariner, which is something that I do want to check out. And YouTube Premium basically thrown in as well.
YouTube
but
Premium.
if your interest wholly
YouTube
lies
working
in
with
AI
them.
video generation,
Of
well,
course.
I mean, to quote the old meme,
Well, yeah, it's part of the Google. I know.
the rent is too high. Now, I have suggested to them adopting something a little more akin to what OpenAI did to, like, the slow boat mode. Now, whether that suggestion ever ends up getting heard by the right people, I mean, I don't know. I will leave a link to the Google Labs Discord down below, where, you can leave suggestions as well. Don't go all like,
Yeah, I mean, crazy technology. The problem is that how it's going to be used. Will it be abused? I'm always like advocating for, if you create some kind of video in like this kind of website, or I don't know, maybe in ChatGPT you create like an essay. I think with every creation there should come sort of a key, some sort of, I don't know, imprinted key that will tell, like sort of like a trademark, I guess, that will help people to distinguish between that something is AI or not AI created. And it has to be forced too. So you cannot just create something and not like without any key and just like use it. Like it has to be some sort of thing that will hint that, yeah, this was AI generated, unless maybe if it's a sort of like a project thing that you want to do, like let's say you want to make like a short film, the final product has to be verified by someone, like they're working, let's say, because there's people that, let's say I want to just go and create some kind of meme, harmless meme. For that, you don't really need to have a key. So like if it's not gonna using, like it's not gonna use something like a known IP, it's not lying to the people, it's not abuse, it's not create false information, basically a harmless video, like something stupid and funny. There's got to be a person that's gonna verify that and say, okay, this one is okay to be used without a key, maybe something like that. And if someone is gonna create, again, it's pretty hard to tell too, because you can kind of trick that system as well. Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like there's some kind of system, some kind of key system gotta be implemented. There's such a competition in the space. Wait till 6 months and VO3 will be 25 a month. So as AI technology is changing, I personally wouldn't spend money on a high monthly subscription with so many companies in the game next week. There could be something better and cheaper. Thanks, I'm having a FOMO, but now I can live vigorously through the content until they lower the price. The big tech guys are crazy. I mean, they are billionaires and they dare to charge $250 a month for 83 generations, at least half of them unusable. Thanks, but no thanks. Yeah, I don't know how at the end of the day it's going to be profitable too. Because to generate this kind of stuff, it takes energy, power, and everything, so they got to pay for it somehow. And it's pretty expensive, it seems. So, I don't know. Is it a business model that's going to help them to sustain themselves in the market? What makes me worried about why YouTube allows to have such a crazy amount of AI videos generated and posted in such quantity now. Because like it seems like for me, like from all the logical standpoint, my logic of course, that it doesn't make sense for YouTube to keep having that, to allow AI videos to be present on YouTube in such quantities, and especially those that not made for fun but made for like very like, specific purposes, like shorts, clips and everything. Because here's the thing, the way I see it, it's my logic, it's the way I see it, why it doesn't make sense for me. If, let's say in the future, right, in the future, about one creator can make about, I don't know, the way I see it, how it's gonna hurt YouTube eventually. There's gonna be a bunch of people, these are people, right? They're gonna be generating like enormous amount of content, like X10, right? Where a normal human would probably produce one, these guys will be generating those candies, those those YouTube slop videos like by 10 times one, so it's gonna be like 10 per person, right? Then we're gonna have like so much like videos, they're gonna be keep producing those videos like 10 every day, maybe 20 every day, and then YouTube, right, it will need servers, right, to keep that amount of information, that amount of videos, create new data centers or whatever. But you know, you cannot just keep posting millions of videos and expect that YouTube like not gonna burst like a bubble. You need to keep it somewhere. So YouTube, in response to this, should probably either, like, there's several options, but basically they will need to generate more money to create more servers. So we're gonna have either like more ads. That's like one of the things they can do, more ads, more expensive, how would I put it, increase the price of the subscription, or they on top of these two, they also gonna cut paycheck for YouTubers, because there's gonna be so many videos, people gonna create those so many every day. So, and there's gonna be so many people that need to have they need to be paid. So it's just one of the options. They might do one of those three, and then eventually, for these people who are producing this like 10-20 videos a day, what they will potentially do, they probably, instead of make it 10, they will be doing like 20 videos a day to make up for everything, you know. If the salaries, if they're gonna cut the paycheck, that's what I assume is gonna happen, because that's what happens on Twitch. They slowly cutting the paycheck of the people because there's just too much and they cannot cover it up. But I mean, there's also another problem, that Twitch probably in itself is not a successful, not as successful platform as people might see. Not as successful platform as people might think. So eventually they're gonna cut the paycheck, and in response to that, they're gonna produce, and also in response to more ads, they probably also produce more videos, because it's just gonna make them more money, right? But this is Snake. This this snake. This is a head of a snake. Shh. This is basically like I wonder how this Ouroboros, like this system, how at the end of the day it's not gonna hurt YouTube, because at any moment this Ouroboros can choke on itself. More ads, less people. Because I already know some people that just don't watch YouTube because of like ads and everything. They just refuse to do that. More ads probably gonna piss off more people. Subscription, increase the price of the sub, less people. The more expensive, like we know Netflix, people leave in Netflix because the subscription for the Netflix is getting higher and higher and higher. If you're gonna cut the paycheck, less people, because YouTubers gonna leave somewhere, and their content is gonna go with them, right? less people making content, less people watching that content, and eventually, what, we're just gonna have YouTube like 90% AI generated slop and 10% authentic YouTubers. That's what I think might happen if YouTube, like I don't see at any point of this how YouTube benefits from having so much AI videos. I mean, I can see like a short term, like as of right now, people don't know what it is, people keep producing that stuff, they don't really care. But eventually it's gonna get really bad because of like the service. They will need to increase the size, build new ones, right? How in this is just my theory based. The only one way I can see this thing to sustain itself, right? Like everything is keep working as this mechanism keep running, is that if we as people, as customers that watch YouTube will like never leave, which is actually very likely too. Like people, humans, people, we all are like to endure things. Even like, right, a lot of people, like I remember like slowly YouTube pushing the boundaries. They introduce you new ads, new way to show you those ads. People keep complaining about it, but nothing really happens. People still staying on YouTube. So what I can see, it's also a very possible scenario, is that people just gonna stay and just gonna live in this system. Unless someone is gonna create like an alternative website where that will prohibit any use of AI. And I think this is what YouTube should do. They should prohibit, they should like not ban every single AI video, those that made for just funny videos. But at the same time, it's hard to distinguish, right? But those videos that are like gameplay, like you creating YouTubers, creating fake news, that kind of stuff should go away, because, well, the first one is that fake news is just in itself is a bad thing, and I think like everyone is gonna agree with that. About the bad YouTubers is that just it might get to the point where people will like to see more authentic content from actual person, but they will be tricked to believe that at some point, they will not know that they are not watching the real person. So YouTube gonna be kind of tricking and lying to people, not YouTube specifically, but videos on YouTube will be tricking and lying to people into making them into believing that they're watching some real stuff. I don't think like there's anyone who likes to watch, like, as soon as I hear, like, from my perspective, as soon as I hear that, oh, I'm watching some kind of AI video, even though I didn't know maybe initially that's AI generated, it pisses me off. It pisses me off because it's just not real. It's just created. It's artificial. It never happened. Like I've seen this video of there's like a cat living with a bunch of like a birds. I don't remember what kind of birds, but there was a cat among the birds. And at first I thought there's something off about it, like AI is not perfect, you know. It seems at first glance it's real. It seemed real. Then I was like paying more, I was like, let me focus on that, and I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? It seems more like an AI thing than it's actually like a true video. And then I went to the chat, and yeah, it is an AI video. So I just wasted my time on watching something that never happened. I had this like a moment where, oh, it's a nice cat living with these birds. Wow, that's actually pretty crazy thing that happened in the real world. But it never happened. It never existed in the first place. So it takes away from this like a precious moment that I was like realizing there's certain things that I'm probably never gonna see, but now we have this on the camera. But instead it's all fake, it never existed. Yeah, again, I don't really get it how the YouTube is gonna continue just let all this like AI slop videos to exist in this system. People gonna be producing 20, like each person is gonna be producing 20 videos a day. The YouTube have to spend more money on the servers, right? They gotta keep it somewhere. They will need to increase the size of it. They need to spend more money on servers and just in places and everything. To pay for that stuff, they need to get the money from somewhere. So they either might increase more ads, they might increase the price of the subscription for the to the YouTube, or they might even take the paycheck, cut the paychecks from YouTubers, because that's what kind of just why I think that might happen because of Twitch. That's what happened on Twitch, and I think YouTube might reach that point. And then to respond to all of these things, or one of those things, people are gonna be start producing even more videos. So it's like an infinite cycle where eventually we're just gonna get like, I'm afraid to imagine how many AI videos on YouTube comparing to authentic real videos made by people. And what's gonna happen after? Will people endure and just let that happen and just keep existing on YouTube, where they're probably gonna be, YouTube is gonna be feeding them AI generated content, but they still gonna be trying to find like authentic person on YouTube to follow, or people not gonna endure it, and then maybe there's gonna be an alternative website that will prohibit AI content, and people just gonna go over there, which also might not happen because, again, as I said, people like to endure stuff. We like to. YouTube keep pushing the boundaries with these ads every couple years or something. People would complain about it, but doesn't matter. YouTube's still growing, still has the biggest audience. So one of two. But I don't see the benefits for YouTube. I see the short-term benefits, and I see long-term disadvantages and issues that might arise with this AI growth of content. AI content growth. Maybe maybe I'm wrong and maybe my logic is flawed, but this is what I can this is what I think might happen.